Helena and I am scientist from Poland. I was working with small molecules. My scientific background is in supramolecular chemistry, host gas systems, microcycles, and the way all of them are organized themselves in the solid state. More recently, I have been working in quantum crystallography, learning how theoretical models can help us better describe thermal motion and subtle structural effects. What I love about crystallography is that it rewards patience. It teaches us that answers not always are obvious and that understanding often comes from looking carefully at what is not immediately visible. I didn't choose crystallography because it was easy or linear. I choose it because it asks why. Why does this molecule bend? Why does this crystal pack in this way or not another? Why does a small change lead to a completely different structure? Very early on, I understood that crystallography is not just about data collection. It is about interpretation, uncertainty, and learning to sit with questions that do not yet have answers. At the time, I didn't realize how important that lesson would become in my own life. And during my PhD, my academic path looked fairly typical. I was solving crystal structures, publishing papers, attending conferences, building crystallographic collaborations. I received national research grant early in my doctoral studies. From the outside, everything seemed to follow the expect trajectory. If you looked only at my CV, you would probably think, this is going well. But parallel to this visible path, something else was happening. During this PhD, I was diagnosed with a rare neurological conditions affecting my spinal cord. It causes chronic pain, neurological symptoms, and fatigue. It is invisible, and there is no cure for that. At one point, I underwent major neurosurgery to stop the progression of the disease. And on the day I left the hospital, I learned that I had been awarded my first research grant. That moment has stayed with me because it shows how academic success and vulnerability can exist at exactly the same time. A few months later, the symptoms returned, they intensified, and I just broke down. I developed depression and struggled with suicidal thoughts. From the outside, nothing looked alarming. I was still working, writing my thesis, still functioning. But at the same time, I was disappearing inside. What saved my life was one person from my close surroundings, my guardian angel. She noticed that something went wrong and through one honest conversation, convinced me to seek professional help. Without that conversation, without this one particular moment, I might not be here today. I share this because it shows how easily suffering can be missed when is invisible and how powerful it is. Sometimes, literally life saving to notice, to ask, just to listen. One of the hardest part was not the pain itself. It was this invisibility. I looked fine. I was still publishing. I was still present in the science. So there was very little language and very little space to talk about what was actually happening. Academia often celebrates resilience, but it rarely knows how to make room for this vulnerability. Living with chronic illness changed how I think about science. I become more attentive, more patient, and more aware that progress it's not linear. I stopped believing that being a good scientist means being constantly available, constantly productive, and constantly strong. This shift in perspective is what led me to patient advocacy. I joined the foundation Ludzie i Medycyna. In English, it will be People and Medicine, which supports people living with chronic illness in their everyday lives. Our work focuses on everything that happened between taking a pill and seeing the doctor, navigating information, managing daily functioning, and feeling less alone. Through this work, I met many people whose struggles looked nothing like mine, and yet felt deeply familiar. It taught me how powerful shared experience can be, and how much damage silence can do. This experience changed not only how I see illness, but also how I see science. Instead, I started to believe that good science comes from honesty, care, and sustainability. This perspective shaped how I work with students, how I collaborate, and how I think about leadership in science. It also shapes how I think about inclusion, not as a slogan, but as necessity. Finally, this led me to speak publicly about my life as a scientist living with chronic illness. In 2024, I gave a keynote lecture titled Detecting the Unseen, Living with Neurological Disorder at the European Crystallographic meeting in Padua, Italy. After the talk, the room went silent, and the people, students, postdocs, senior scientists, came up to me, not with questions, but simply to hug me. That moment confirmed something I had felt for a long time. There is a deep need for honesty in science. Right now, I am in another moment of transition. I'm finishing my postdoctoral position, which meant that I had to start looking for a new job. This process had filled me with fear long before it actually began. At the same time, I learned that my neurological condition has progressed again. After 5 years of stability, the cavity in my spinal cord has started to enlarge. And this is an extremely rare situation. And I'm currently waiting for a decision from a team of neurosurgeons on whether any further treatment is even possible for me. During the job search, I knew I wanted to be honest. I explained that I live with unpredictable episodes of severe pain, light sensitivity, dizziness, episodes that can temporarily disconnect me from everyday functioning. And then something important happened. I found new position, and my future supervisor knows about my condition, and it's not a barrier for her. I feel supported, seen, and most importantly, believed in. I don't want to say more about this job yet, but I would be really, really grateful if you kept fingers crossed for me. I am once again at a crossroads. I need to start building research that is truly my own, work that carries my questions and my responsibility. And while the future is uncertain, one thing is not. Whatever comes next, it will be crystallography because this is the language I love. This is how I think, and this is where I know I belong right now. If I could say one thing to early career researchers, especially women, it would be this: take care of yourself. Caring about your health does not make you less ambitious, and needing support does not make you weaker. If you need help, say it out loud. Asking for help is not a failure, it's an act of courage and self respect. And at the same time, stay attentive to the people around you. Look closely, ask questions, notice changes. Because next to you, there may be somebody who is suffering quietly and does not yet know how to ask for help. Crystallography is about revealing what is hidden, about understanding structures beneath the surface. Sometimes the unseen things we need to acknowledge are not in our crystals, but in ourselves. Thank you for having me in this project. It's really, really important for me. And thank you all for listening my story.